welcome! In this video I've got a little bit of show and tell. This morning I went out to cut some grass and realised there were lots of hazelnuts lying on the ground. So I came back in to get my basket and gather up some hazelnuts. And I got loads! It's obviously going to be a very good year for hazelnuts, because having filled my basket, I realised I was going to need something a bit bigger to collect the hazelnuts in. So I came back in, oh, I can't pick it up. So I came back in to get a box, which is now full of nuts as well. And there are loads more still up the tree, waiting for the wind to blow them out. So no shortage of hazelnuts this year. Excellent. The elderberries I collected in my last video, I've made into an elderberry syrup. Where's it gone? There you go. So I have these two cute little bottles of elderberry syrup. And I also filled this Kilner jar, which is now only half full because I have been drinking it. I'm planning to go out this afternoon and see if I can find any more elderberries to make some more, because this obviously isn't going to last me very long. It's delicious. A lot of sugar, but it also has a lot of good vitamins as well. My next show and tell is a knitting update. Now, those of you that have watched the channel for a while will be aware that I made this lovely chunky Aran cardigan for myself and was knitting away for many months to complete it. And I'm glad I did, because I love the finished cardigan. It's going to be great when the cold winter weather gets here. In fact, it's been great now, just on those cool summer evenings, to snuggle up warm in my nice chunky jacket. But having spent several months knitting this, once I had finished, I was at a bit of a loss. I actually really enjoy the process of doing the knitting. I find it very relaxing, sitting listening to an audio book or a podcast while knitting a few rows. As there was nothing else I was desperately needing for my wardrobe at the moment, I decided I would make a couple of little hooded cardigan jackets for the two youngest grandchildren. I started with the smallest child in the hope that I would be able to knit it quickly enough to be ready for the winter. Now he's almost 2, only a couple of weeks. My goodness, they grow up so quickly. So I've made this little hoodie jacket for him, and it does fit beautifully. He has tried it on for me. I could not get him to smile though. He knew we were off out for a picnic and just wanted to get going, and was most confused as to why I was taking his photograph. It's really, really soft. I used 2 balls of wool to complete it. I actually bought 3, but I've only used 2 of them. A Sirdar Snuggly, and it really is very, very snuggly and soft. It's a beautiful soft wool. You don't have to just use it for baby things. It'll make a very nice grown-up jumper too. So that's his little hoodie jacket with the textured stripes at the back and a little bit of a twist up the front here. Now, when I was knitting this, I did explain to the 4-year-old that I was going to be knitting him one as well in a different colour, and he said he would like a Land Rover jumper. Now that threw me. How on earth can I make a Land Rover jumper? So I did spend a little while puzzling over that request and decided the best thing I could do was make a jumper with a picture of a Land Rover on the front. I could not find a knitting pattern anywhere with a picture of a Land Rover on the front. But I did find some pictures on Google of a jumper with a Land Rover on the front that someone else had obviously already made before. So I took a screenshot of that and expanded it out so I could see each of the individual knitting stitches and made myself a plan, a pattern I suppose, of where my colours needed to be to make a Land Rover. I started by drawing out a load of squares on a piece of paper, then coloured them in matching the stitches. This splotchy mess is where the cat decided to spill a cup of coffee all over it for me. But it still worked to make the jumper. I got myself a knitting pattern for a basic child's jumper, went onto YouTube to learn how to add a picture to my piece of knitting, and set about making a Land Rover jumper. It's worked out really well. I'm ever so pleased. So here is Land Rover jumper. Now he's not seen it with the Land Rover on it yet. He knew I was knitting, he's seen the sleeves and the plain brown back, but he hasn't seen the completed Land Rover. So I hope to get a nice smiley face tomorrow when he's presented with his new Land Rover jumper. I certainly haven't stopped smiling since I finished it. I've been really pleased with the finished result. I've never done any sort of picture colour work in knitting before, so it was all quite new to me. Having done it though, I didn't find it overly difficult and would happily put pictures on any sort of knitting work in the future. So I'm really glad he asked for this special request. One, because hopefully I've managed to put a smile on his face with the finished result. It certainly put a smile on my face, and I would definitely do picture work again. And here he is with a lovely smiley face showing off his nice new Land Rover jumper. I think I forgot to say it took me 4 weeks to knit his Land Rover jumper, and I was 3 weeks knitting the little blue hoodie. Well, that's it for today's quick show and tell. A massive harvest of hazelnuts. I've made myself some elderberry syrup, a hoodied cardigan and a Land Rover jumper. So I'll say goodbye from today's video. Thanks for joining me. Remember, whatever you're doing, have fun doing it. Bye for now, and we'll see you next time. Well, it took me nearly 2 hours, but I finally de-hulled these hazelnuts. There are so many. I don't think I've had a harvest quite this large before. I'm very happy about it. Certainly keep me going in hazelnuts till next year's harvest and beyond, I should imagine. Now they are still in their shells, so need cracking, but stored in these net bags with their shells on, they'll be perfectly fine. So 3 heavy bags of hazelnuts. Gosh, I can barely lift them up. Yummy! I can see lots of nut cracking in my future.